All right, guys, we already covered a lot of exciting titles, and the next one is coming right up. We're going to talk about Detroit, and with me today is, I'm going to try it, Guillaume de Fondomière.
Perfect.
Was that okay?
Yeah, that was great.
Thanks so much for taking the time. Thanks for being with us. As I said, we're going to talk about Detroit, obviously, and I think most of people don't really quite grasp what Detroit is going to be, what kind of game we can expect. So what is Detroit actually, in a nutshell?
Detroit is a neo-noir thriller. And it's taking place in the city of Detroit, Michigan, in a close future.
All right.
In this close future, technology has evolved to a point where human-like androids have taken on most jobs.
Yeah.
So they are gardeners, they are salesmen, they work in public transport. They have taken really a great number of repetitive and boring jobs that people do. So as the player, you're going to embody a number of these androids.
Okay, all right.
And as in our previous games, for instance, Heavy Rain, so you're going to play these androids and see the story from different perspectives.
All right.
And so you're going to play these characters in turn. And in our games, it's all about choice.
Yeah.
So you have the possibility to go around freely in 3D environments. Complex environments where you can interact with pretty much everything and everyone. So you have dialogue choices, there are certain items that you can analyze, collect, and then, well, you have to react to the situations.
Okay, all right. And you talked about Heavy Rain, and one big feature of Heavy Rain was, of course, if a character dies, he's going to stay dead until the end of the game.
Yes.
Is that going to be in Detroit as well?
It's going to be the same thing.
Okay.
You have to make critical choices, and your decisions is going to impact the character's faith and the entire story.
Okay.
And so I think, well, I'm pretty sure Detroit is the most bending narrative that we've ever created.
Okay.
So we've already showcased one scene, which is called Hostage.
Yeah.
And it's the very first scene in the game. And this scene has 6, I think, different endings.
Okay.
And so the whole game is built like this. We're giving the player the possibility to really affect the story.
Yeah.
Giving them the possibility to, through choice, go in different paths.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be an exciting game.
Well, I can relate. I had the opportunity to see the demo you gave at E3, and it was a small room. There was about 5 or 6 people attending. And after a couple of minutes, everybody in the room was cheering and screaming, "Drop the gun, no, don't drop the gun, shoot him, don't shoot him." It was quite exciting, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's very enjoyable for me to be demoing this game, actually.
Yeah, obviously.
Because I think it's the beauty with these games is when you're into the story, where we put a lot of efforts in creating realistic characters. And so I think almost instantly you identify with the characters, and then you almost want to take the controller and play, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you do.
It's really fun, and what we also try to do is we create meaningful stories. We create emotional experiences, and so after 5 minutes with the controller, you're really identifying with the characters. And you really want them to, you care for them.
Yeah.
And so you want them to succeed. And since we have so many choices, depending on your personality, depending on your current spirit, depending on how you understand the story, you of course are going to want to go into this direction or the other direction.
Yeah.
And so I think we're creating a fantastic playground for everyone to find his or her own path, and have a very unique experience.
All right. Talking about the story, how hard was it to come up with a new angle for the whole android robots becoming humans and vice versa topic? Because it's not a new idea per se, right?
Absolutely. Well, our point of view was to create, to ask ourselves this question: what does it mean to be human? That was really the core theme of Detroit. Am I human because I'm a human being? Am I still a human if I do very bad things as a human? On the other side, what if I'm an android, a computer, and I start feeling something?
Yeah.
Do I then become a human? And that's really the central theme of the experience. And so what we wanted to do is tell the story from the perspective of the androids. So in Detroit, you're only going to play as an android.
Okay.
And we wanted also to give players the possibility to experience this story from different points of views. Even though all the characters are androids, they have different backgrounds.
Yeah.
They have different jobs. They have different experiences.
Yeah.
And so you're going to experience the story from these different angles. I can't tell you how many yet. We announced that we had 2 playable characters for now. There may be more. And so you, a little bit like in Heavy Rain, you know?
Yeah.
You're playing different characters, male, female, some having this characteristics, others. And so you're going to go into this story, and then it's all up to you to decide where the fate of the characters is going.
Well, we don't want to talk about too much about Heavy Rain because it's in the past and it was a great game. But one thing of Heavy Rain was the story twist at the end, which kind of divided the people, you know, the gamers. Can we expect a similar kind of twist at the end of the story? You can't go too much into detail, I guess?
I can't go into details, and I don't want to spoil
No,
the audience.
of course not.
But I think, you know, in Heavy Rain, the story really branched out at the end.
Yes.
In Detroit, it's very different.
Okay.
The story is going to branch out very early.
All right.
So we're really creating the most bending narrative we've ever created.
Okay.
And so you're going to be confronted as the player with difficult choices, difficult decisions, moral decisions, right from the beginning of the story.
Yes. Yeah.
And so
I saw that. Yeah.
it's going to be very unique branching storyline for players.
Sounds exciting. And of course, I think we have to explain the gameplay a bit. I tried it last year, no, a couple of months ago at E3, but I think you can do a much better job. So how does it actually play?
Well, it's a video game, you know, so you have the controller in your hand, and it's in real-time 3D. So it's not, you know, sometimes people think it's about cutscenes, you know, you press a button, then you see a cutscene, it's actually not the case, and whoever has experienced our games knows that you're always in control. So for instance, you use the left analog stick to move forward, you can go anywhere you want in the environment, you can interact with pretty much all the objects in the environment using the right analog stick. What we try to do from a gameplay perspective is we try to give players the possibility to really fully identify with the characters and create as direct a link between what the character does on screen and what you do as the player. So for instance, if I need to open a door, I'm going to, in real life, I'd be doing this movement, and on the controller, you're going to do exactly the same movement. And it's little things like that that make you feel more and more empathy for the characters. And it's always about putting down the barrier. Putting down the barrier between the player and the game. And we have a very diversified gameplay in Detroit. All characters have specific abilities. And so it's going to be very diversified.
Well, I think everybody can guess Detroit is not going to be your run-of-the-mill game, like any shooter, all of these genres that are kind of hot right now. It's a very special kind of beast, I would say.
Well,
just like your previous game. So my question is, Heavy Rain and beyond, and maybe even Detroit, I think it's going to polarize people and divide people. Does that actually spur you on, or do you sometimes feel a bit misunderstood in what you're trying to do with your games?
You know, for us, it's we don't care so much to a certain degree. We have a very strong vision. David Cage, my partner, has a very strong vision, and we try to be different, not for the sake of being different, but just because we think that video games as a medium has more to offer than only action or shooters or sports games. There's a huge amount of possibilities for this medium, in particular when it comes to narration. What we want to do is create meaningful stories and give players the possibility to play with these stories. And so we put a lot of efforts into crafting these stories and giving meaningful choices to the player, giving them great gameplay so that they can really enjoy playing the story.
Yeah. How did your approach to make games change over the years? So was the creative process in creating Heavy Rain another creative process than creating Detroit right now? Did you learn something in all these years?
Oh yes, we learned a lot. We learned, it's when you pioneer something, it's always difficult. Now when we started and said, okay, we want to play the story. We just want to tell the stories through cutscenes, but we want really the player to be in control of the action, in control of the story, the dialogues, etc., etc. When you start, you're in front of a blank page.
Yeah.
You don't, we didn't take a given formula and just applied it. No, we needed to invent a grammar for gameplay. How do you write an interactive story? A story, by nature, is linear. So how do you deconstruct a story in such a way that you will be able to play it? How do you even, we shoot with actors, we create a lot of animations with real actors, etc. Even the shooting is specific, because you have to shoot an action where you go right, an action where you go left, an action where you say yes, an action where you say no.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's very difficult for the actors. So we needed really to create a whole pipeline, a whole workflow, a whole grammar to be able to create the games that we're making.
Yeah.
So game after game after game, we learn. We see what works, what doesn't work, what players like, don't like.
Yeah.
And we try each time to be better, to make better experiences.
Yeah.
Give players a better story, a more emotional experience, better animation, better graphics. We try always to perform better than in the past game.
Well, talking about animations and things like actors and such, can you give us an insight into the working progress? Because for me it sounds like a Hollywood production, like a mega blockbuster kind of thing.
It is a big production. Everything starts with the script. So David writes on his own. He has a small team around him writing the entire script. And then once the scenes are written, they go through stages to the other departments. So a part of the team is going to work on the graphics. So we have a big design team that designs everything on paper for the sets. We start casting actors. We scan the actors in 3D. And then the characters team is taking these scans and creates in 3D the characters. Once we have the characters and we have our cast, we can start shooting. So the animation process takes on. So we call each individual character in the game is played by a real actor.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea on the scope of the game, Detroit has 300 characters.
Okay, all right.
So we're working with, I think, 220 actors.
It's like War and Peace.
Yeah, well, it's we cast in LA, we cast in London, we cast in Paris. It's a lot of people to find and to bring to our studio in Paris and to shoot. We've been shooting for a year now.
Okay,
we still have 6 months to go.
Okay.
So it's a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have all the technology. We create our own engine, we create our own tools to assemble the game. So we have 48 people in research and development to craft all these tools and technologies. And then we of course have the gameplay team works on the gameplay, making sure that second after second there is something to be done for the player, and that whatever the player decides to do, there is a logical conclusion, a logical consequence to his actions, etc., etc. I probably forgot half of the team here, but we're currently 185 working on the game.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Will we see any AAA movie stars like Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe in Beyond? Or did you cast some unfamiliar, unknown faces?
Well, for Detroit we had a different approach, and on Beyond we had two very strong, very central characters. On Detroit we have more characters, and so we were looking for more of an ensemble cast. Our androids are also pretty much all the same age, so we were looking for young, talented actors. So the first actor on the job is Valerie Curry, the girl from who played Kara.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
so she
All right.
accepted to continue and to be Kara in Detroit. And we're working with a whole lot of other very talented actors.
Yeah.
But I can't reveal too much who
No,
they
of
are
course.
for now.
As usual. When we saw Kara first, I think it's 3 years ago.
It was in
In the teaser trailer?
2012.
12 or
Yeah.
4 years ago. All right. Did the general direction the game is going to go in, was it clear from the very start, or did it change over the years?
Absolutely not. Initially, this was only a tech demo for us.
Yeah.
So we were at the beginning of the development of Beyond, and we always do those prototypes that enable us to test new ideas. So here on Kara, we wanted to see if we were capable of doing performance capture. So what you saw in Kara was a very first performance capture. So we put dots on the face of the actress and captured both her body and face movements, but also her voice at the same time. And so yeah, it was a short movie just to prepare the production on Beyond.
Yeah.
And well, we first showed it to Sony, and they said, well, this is great, we must show it to the public. So I said, okay. So we went to GDC in 2012, I think, and we were absolutely thrilled by the reception. More than, I think, 25 million people saw it and said, yeah, we absolutely want you to make a game out of it. And so at the end of the production of Beyond, we thought, yeah, why not? Why not actually? We had never done that before. Turn a prototype, turn a short film into an actual full production.
Yeah.
And everyone was asking us the same question. What happens to Kara after she exits the factory? And to be honest, we didn't know.
Okay.
But this very question was so interesting to us. We thought, yes, we too want to know. And so we started to tell the story of what happens to Kara when she exits the factory, and that's what Detroit is all about.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the movie Ex Machina. Did you see it? Yeah. Great movie, by the way. Which brings me to my next point. You are trying to create very unique and unusual kind of games, but I think you cannot shield from other influences. So are you aware of other gaming trends or other things that inspire you in the gaming world?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we watch a lot of movies. We play all sorts of games, and yeah, of course, there's certainly there's certainly some influence here and there. Talking about Ex Machina, I think they've been very much influenced by Kara.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
And I think that's fine. I think it's important to be open, to amalgamate. I'm not a creative. I'm the producer, but David, he's very good at amalgamating, very good at understanding. Trends and things like that. But his job is not only to assemble. His job is to look into the future and say, okay, what story do I want to tell, and how will it resonate with people in 3, 4, 5 years' time? Yeah. And that's a difficult job.
Yeah, I guess. I think we have to go back to the gameplay maybe once more. The section you showed at E3 with the hostage situation, you said it's the beginning of the game actually?
It's the very beginning of the game,
It's quite a beginning, For me, I feel like Detroit is some kind of detective game. I know it's not a genre, but for me it felt like it. Would that be accurate? I guess not.
The thing is, we only showed one scene.
Yeah.
And this very scene features Connor, who is an investigator. He's been sent by CyberLife, which is a company manufacturing very sophisticated androids, to help police forces investigate on deviant androids. So when you play Connor, you're going to be this investigator. You're going to be hunting deviants, basically. But when you'll play other characters, you'll have a totally different perspective on things.
Okay.
And so it's not about 3 investigators or 4 or 5 investigators. No, each of the characters is going to have a very specific angle. You're going to have a very specific gameplay. And so you're going to have a very different variation on this theme, Detroit, Become Human. What does it mean to become human when you're an android?
Yeah. You told us at E3 that the deviants are these kind of robots that had gone mad. to put
Yep.
it very, very simply. And usual androids or robots cannot pick up guns. Is that true?
Yep.
Did I get that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yet, we saw that Connor, is the name of our android detective, uses a gun. So I have to ask, that means he's a deviant as well, right? So what's the deal with that?
He is a very specific prototype. And so he's not your regular type of android. And in this case, he has the possibility indeed to go beyond the law somehow.
Okay.
But it's for you to find out how, why.
Yeah.
But it's indeed an interesting question.
All right. One last thing. Again, I have to draw a parallel to Heavy Rain. I think it was you who said you're not a fan of replaying a game like Heavy Rain or Detroit. And I think for a lot of people, that's quite a topic, replayability. I never replayed Heavy Rain, I never replayed Beyond, and I think I won't go replaying Detroit. But can you understand a gamer who said, well, I paid $60 for a game, I want to play it 2 times, 3 times, stuff like that.
I think
But it's kind of hard for the story, right?
Yeah, I think what I said is that we encourage gamers initially to play through once and to bear the consequences of their actions, because that's the very core of what we do. We give the players the possibility to see the consequences of their actions. So we encourage them in the first playthrough to play, and just to continue playing and see where it leads them. But of course, we're giving the players the possibility to replay, and we encourage them even to replay after a first playthrough.
That's true. All right, then this is your chance to tell our viewers anything maybe we don't know about Detroit already. Is there something you can drop here at Gamescom? I mean, that's your stage right here.
That's a broad one. Here.
Yeah, I know.
No, if there's one thing I would like to say is that I would like to thank all our fans who have been supporting us in the past 10 years since we released Fahrenheit, who are still believing in us, because there are some very difficult moments when you develop games, especially pioneering games like we do. There are moments where you feel you're never going to be able to do it. And when we think about our fans, this is giving us the extra energy to go beyond these difficulties and create the best possible game. So to our fans, thank you.
So they shall be vocal.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
We still receive about 5 to 10 letters a week of people who play our games and like them or sometimes dislike them and write long emails or long letters, and we always share them with the team, and it's fantastic. Keep writing. Thank you.
So play it, have an opinion and share that opinion.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. Ja,
Thank
Leute, ihr habt's gehört, Detroit, und ich sag's, I am a fanboy. I am a fanboy, sue me, so what. Ich habe wirklich Bock auf Detroit, ich freue mich sehr drauf. Das war ein sehr schönes Gespräch und wir sehen uns bald wieder hier. Tschüss.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the future of VR. I mean, this is kind of the starting point.
Yeah.
You are releasing in October.
That's correct, yeah.
So not everybody's going to have VR from the start, right? Where do you see yourself